Oh my God. Oh. God bless them.
Torrential rains unleashed flash floods along the Guadalupe River in Texas on Friday, killing at least 24 people as rescue teams scrambled to save dozens of victims trapped by high water or reported missing in the disaster, local officials said. Among the missing were 23 to 25 people listed as unaccounted for at an all-girls Christian summer camp located on the banks of the rain-engorged Guadalupe, authorities said. At a news conference late on Friday, almost 18 hours after the July 4th crisis began, Texas Governor Greg Abbott said search and rescue operations would press on through the night and into Saturday. Abbott said resources devoted to the effort would be limitless. Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One at the end of a day of public events, President Donald Trump said, "We'll take care of them," when asked about federal aid for the disaster.
Prayers go out to the ones that...
The U.S. National Weather Service declared a flash flood emergency for parts of Kerr County in south-central Texas Hill Country, about 65 miles, 105 kilometers, northwest of San Antonio, following thunderstorms that dumped as much as a foot of rain. Dalton Rice, city manager for Kerrville, the county seat, told reporters the extreme flooding struck before dawn with little or no warning, precluding authorities from issuing advance evacuation orders as the Guadalupe swiftly rose above major flood stage. This happened very quickly, over a very short period of time that could not be predicted, even with radar, Rice said. This happened within less than a 2-hour span. State emergency management officials had warned as early as Thursday that West and Central Texas faced heavy rains and flash flood threats over the next couple days, citing National Weather Service forecasts ahead of the holiday weekend. But the weather forecasts in question did not predict the amount of rain that we saw. W. Nimkid, director of the Texas Division of Emergency Management, told a news conference on Friday night. July 4th fireworks displays ended up being canceled in flood-stricken communities throughout the region, including Kerrville, where the waterfront site for Friday night's planned U.S. Independence Day celebration was submerged by the rain-swollen river. At Friday night's briefing, Kerr County Sheriff Larry Letha said 24 flood-related fatalities had been confirmed, up from 13 tallied earlier in the day. One more person found dead in neighboring Kendall County was not confirmed to be a flood-related casualty, Letha said. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said on Friday afternoon that authorities were searching for 23 girls listed as missing from among more than 750 children at summer campsites along the banks of the Guadalupe River when the area was inundated by floodwaters at around 4 a.m. local time. The missing campers had all been attending Camp Mystic, a private Christian summer camp for girls. "We're praying for all those missing to be found alive," Patrick said. It was not clear whether anyone unaccounted for might have ended up among the deceased victims tallied countywide by the sheriff. Otherwise, all other campers were safe, authorities said, with campers being evacuated throughout the day. Everybody is doing everything in their power to get these kids out, Kerr County Judge Rob Kelly, the top local elected official, had said at a news briefing on the disaster hours earlier. Kelly said a number of scattered residential subdivisions, recreational vehicle parks, and campgrounds were hit hard. Pressed by reporters why more precautions were not taken with stormy weather in the forecast, Kelly insisted a disaster of such magnitude was unforeseen. "We have floods all the time. This is the most dangerous river valley in the United States," Kelly said. "We had no reason to believe this was going to be anything like what's happened here. None whatsoever." In an alert on Thursday, the Texas Division of Emergency Management said it had increased its readiness level and activated additional state emergency response resources as parts of West and Central Texas braced for continued heavy rainfall and flash flooding threats heading into the holiday weekend. Lieutenant Governor Patrick said the Guadalupe River had risen 26 feet, 8 meters, in 45 minutes as heavy showers soaked the region. As of Friday night, emergency personnel had rescued or evacuated 237 people, including 167 by helicopter. With additional rain forecast in the region, Patrick warned that an ongoing threat for possible flash flooding extended from San Antonio to Waco for the next 24 to 48 hours. On Friday night, Governor Abbott signed a disaster declaration to hasten emergency assistance to Kerr and a cluster of additional counties hardest hit by the floods. Personnel from the U.S. Coast Guard and the Federal Emergency Management Agency also were activated to assist local authorities in confronting the crisis, officials said. At least 237 people have been rescued so far. The majority of them were rescued by helicopters. Texas officials say some of the areas affected remain without power or internet access. At an earlier briefing, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said more than 500 responders and 14 helicopters were deployed to find anyone who was trapped in the inundated area. We have deployed a number of personnel to multiple locations throughout the Texas Hill Country to assist with search and rescue efforts, Patrick said, noting that the region is popular for summer camps, including one for hundreds of girls. He said state efforts' emphasis Friday is to locate unaccounted teenagers. Within 45 minutes, the Guadalupe River rose 26 feet and it was a destructive flood, taking property and sadly lives, Patrick said. He added that the region got 12 inches or more of rain per hour. The situation may still get worse. Sheriff Larry Letha said authorities believe the number of fatalities could grow. This is probably going to be a couple of days process, Letha said during the press conference. At an elementary school in Kerrville, Texas, which served as a reunification center, hundreds of people waited for news from their relatives. Some parents were able to meet with their children, but some have yet to hear from their kids. That's the case of Tanya Powell. Her 21-year-old daughter Ella Rose was still missing. She was near the camp at a house with 3 of their friends. They are college seniors in San Antonio. They were here for the weekend and we lost touch with them about 4 a.m. and haven't gotten any word from them, Powell said. One of the summer camps affected, Camp Mystic, is an all-girls Christian summer camp that has been operating in the area for nearly 100 years.
They can't come look, we've lost our car.
On Friday, the National Weather Service issued a hazard weather warning. In a statement, the NWS warned, flooding caused by excessive rainfall continues to be possible.
If you have a boat or something, I need help.
The agency said an additional 1 to 3 inches of rain could fall across the region, but that isolated spots in the hill country could see up to 5 inches. The NWS explained the extreme rainfall is being caused by a moist tropical air mass combined with a slow-moving storm system in counties across south-central Texas. Kerr County officials said the Guadalupe River, which runs through the region, is currently cresting at 39 feet or more, up from about 3 feet before the rainfall. Judge Rob Kelly signed a declaration of disaster, following the devastation to property and loss of life left behind by the severe weather storm. Suffice it today, this has been a very devastating and deadly flood, Kelly said during a Friday morning press conference. Kelly's office said damages will be monumental to both public infrastructure and private properties, with estimates impossible to determine until floodwaters recede. Thomas Rux stood miles down the road from Riverside RV Park, where his trailer stood before rushing waters swept his home away. "If it wasn't for these trees, I would have lost everything," said Rux, who lives in nearby Ingram. "It would have been down the river and gone. I got to cherry pick, and I got all my guns out, my valuables, and I'm going in and just getting a few more stuff right now while I can." Rux recalled getting a wake-up call from emergency first responders urging him to evacuate. The National Weather Service's Austin/San Antonio office recorded the Guadalupe River's gauge at a 22-foot rise in about 2 hours. The Associated Press reported the gauge failed after it recorded the river level at 29.5 feet. The Guadalupe River's total length is approximately 250 miles, with its north and south forks in Kerr County, according to Texas Parks and Wildlife. I grabbed my keys, my wallet, turned on my alarm, shut the door, locked the doors, and I left, Rux said. Then I got a call from my alarm company that I was getting robbed, and I knew my trailer was gone. I already knew it at that point. Mud, water, and debris is all that remains of the Blue Oak RV park that housed more than a dozen trailer homes before they got washed away. Onlookers like Bud Bolton stood amazed at the site where children once played. There were 24 of them, homes, here, and every one of them got lost, said Bolton, pointing to a wide stretch of land. Bolton and other residents said they did not receive a warning. Bolton said local authorities should be held accountable for not sounding the alarm and giving residents a chance to safely evacuate before the situation became dire. The Guadalupe Blanco River Authority, along with the Upper Guadalupe River Authority, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and the U.S. Geological Survey monitor the Guadalupe River. You have the river authorities, and I know what they do, Bolton said. You cannot tell me it's not their FNG job to oversee this river and monitor this river, because that's what they do. That's their job. Where was the notification for all these families that needed to get out of here because it had to be rising up that way first? During a press conference, officials tried to quell concerns about the city and county's response to the overnight tragedy. We didn't know this flood was coming, said Kerr County Judge Rob Kelly. Rest assured, no one knew this kind of flood was coming. We have floods all of the time. This is the most dangerous river valley in the United States. The National Weather Service initially issued a flash flood watch just after 1 p.m. on Thursday, and by 1 a.m. Friday, the agency had issued a life-threatening flash flood warning. We had no reason to believe this was going to be anything like what's happened here, he said. None whatsoever.
That's another car.
Fighting back tears, Kerrville Mayor Joe Herring Jr. asked for prayers for the community. City Manager Dalton Rice also reiterated Kelly's sentiments about the suddenness of the flash flooding. This happened very quickly over a very short amount of time that could not be predicted, he said. This is not like a tornado where you can have a siren. This is not a hurricane where you're planning weeks in advance. It hit. It hit hard, and things like this happen in a very strategic, very isolated area, and when those two things converge, you have what happened today. After driving to the edge of the river and not seeing any flooding near her business, Howdy's Restaurant, Bar and Chill, Lorena Guillen returned home. Guillen said when she called the sheriff's office before 3 a.m., they didn't indicate to her that she needed to evacuate her home. However, hours later, everything changed. We couldn't do much, she said. The water was rising so fast. Within 45 minutes at the most, the water was from where it is now to the deck. It was gone. Everything was gone. Despite emergency crews rushing in to help, Guillen said for many, it was too little, too late. It was at least 50 rescuers here, and they were amazing at their job, but they couldn't get to everybody, she said. There was too much loss, human loss and property loss. Dubbed the best hideout on the Guadalupe River, Howdy's Restaurant, Bar and Chill served everything from fried chicken to Salisbury steak. The business hosted specials throughout the week like Taco and Tequila Tuesday and Fried Fish Friday. We don't know what we're going to do, said Guillen. how are we going to pay our mortgage or how we're going to survive this.
Anthony, look at this. I feel so bad for them.
There's people in it. Oh my god, there's so many people in it.
Please tell me you're getting this on video.
Yeah, Kent's over.
Shit, we're watching the